gentlemen, it's on this note that I would like you all to please focus on the screen as we watch this particular video that speaks to an important information that we all need to have. Ladies and gentlemen, it's centered around Kora Play. Please focus on the screen and enjoy this. Thank you very much.
My name is Trude Osiebu. I'm the CEO at Venco Inc. We use Kora to power the collections feature on our platform, and we use their payment solutions, especially their virtual bank accounts and card payment solutions, as the interface or channel through which residents in the communities that we serve make payments to their communities. They would then typically send us a signal on our platform where we can then acknowledge, those payments and offer value or provide value back to the residents. Our experience working with Kora, fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for ourselves? Thank you so much. Thank you. Right now, we're about to have the second keynote address. And the second keynote address is going to be handled by a very distinguished personality and a man of numerous achievements, a graduate of the prestigious Covenant University, and a man who has done so well in the tech and finance space. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next few minutes, we are going to listen to Scaling Smart, the execution edge of emerging market innovators. Please put your hands together for Dickson Nsofor, the CEO, Kora Pay Nigeria, as he comes forward to speak. Can we sustain the applause for him, ladies and gentlemen? And don't stop clapping till he gets here. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
I can work with that. Okay. Is this fine? Yeah, this is good. This is good. Thank you very much. How's everyone doing today? I hope this doesn't fall off. I hope it doesn't. Okay. It's my great privilege to speak to everyone today, and I'll be speaking around the topic of scaling smart, the execution edge that we all have as entrepreneurs in Africa. Now, I don't know how many entrepreneurs are in the house, but I oftentimes consider intrapreneurs to also be entrepreneurs of some sort. So even if you work in an organization or you own the organization, it's pretty much the same thing, because the same ownership mentality and the grit you bring to work is going to be roughly the same to transform your organization. Now, a lot of times across emerging markets, there's one common thing that happens across most emerging markets, and that's we in the emerging markets oftentimes looking up to the governments to be the solutions of our problems almost every single time. Yes, while that can be true, but if we look at every emerging market that has taken the global stage, or any emerging market that has transformed any country, it was done by the entrepreneurs themselves, actually. Entrepreneurs that were supported or aided through government policies. So my speech today is mostly around what we, or what innovators or entrepreneurs should be able to do to take Africa to where it needs to be. Now, emerging market possess a unique challenge. We all, talk about all the problems of doing business in Africa: infrastructural deficits, lack of electricity, bad roads, bad government, and all of that. But we don't look at the good side of these challenges that we all have inherently. And today I want to start by bringing out the edge that we have as innovators or as Africans doing business in Africa, the edge that we have. And I'll be starting with the 4 critical edge. First of them is technology, right? So I don't know, as many of you that used to know what banking systems looked like before. My dad used to be a trader. And if you literally are leaving Jos, if you were at the time, Lion Bank Jos, to go to trade in the East or to come to Lagos to trade, you have to take cash because your account in Lion Bank is only in Lion Bank Jos. If you go to Nasarawa, it's totally different. If you come to Abuja, totally different. Then we leapfrogged, and then we got to a period where people would use checkbook, right? Many of you know checkbook. Now, I happen to have some form of residency abroad. I still pay my rent with checkbook abroad. Checkbook. In fact, I do the depositor's check or a direct debit till today. But look at us in Africa. I don't think any single person here in this room has their checkbook, here or at home. And that can only be possible in an emerging market. And that's only possible because the adoption of technology in emerging markets is way, way, way faster. It will shock you to know that the payment infrastructure in Nigeria is the second best in the whole world. Second best in the whole world, right behind China, right? Why? The first most advanced country in terms of fintech in the world could only be possible because there were no legacy systems. Now imagine investing billions and billions of dollars into something called Swift networks, automated clearing houses called ACH. Why would you be incentivized to adopt new technology? It won't easily happen. So that's why you can see the QR code with WeChat, WeChat and Alipay taking off in China, and then countries like Kenya that have gone AWire with M-Pesa, and looking at us in Nigeria with the humongous amount of fintechs in Nigeria, that could only be possible. So the adoption of technology in emerging markets is one of the greatest strengths that we have. There are so many other areas, but we must understand that where nothing exists, imagination takes over. Where nothing exists, imagination automatically takes over. So our lack of legacy systems, our lack of old banking infrastructure, our lack of old telecom systems, even till tomorrow, any country you go to in the West, even in the UK, there's still landlines. Landline companies have invested billions of dollars into their infrastructure. They're not about to throw it away, right? But in Nigeria, I'll be super surprised if you see any landline in anybody's house. Mobile phone technology came out when I was roughly 14, 16, 17. And right now, it's like, if you don't have a mobile phone, you're living under the rock. Number 2, we have a very young and flexible government system. Now, I know many of you don't like our regulators, many of you don't like our government and all of that, but the only place it can be possible is only in an emerging market. Why? The governments don't have prior knowledge or legacy systems to even create a law around anything. Okay, you say how? The greatest and the best country in the advancement of cryptocurrency in the whole world is actually Nigeria. We're the first to create the regulation, first to issue licenses, just literally right after Singapore. Yes, Singapore might have done something ahead, but if you look at Singapore, is also one of the top emerging markets, right? The Central Bank of Nigeria, the regulations the CBN makes around financial technology, around payment systems, if you see their updated laws. But then, why can't this happen in a saturated market like America or the United Kingdom? Again, the government is like 300-400 years old. The government has systems, they have seen it all. But in Africa, or in our emerging markets, the governments have not seen it all. So what you then see happening is that the government is playing catch-up. The regulators are playing catch-up, which means nothing exists here, which we all have the capacity to build whatever we want to build, especially in the new markets. So with the young and flexible government system that we have, this creates an innovation runway that older markets cannot easily replicate. Again, let's look at, in America, the banks literally control payment systems. The banks control telcos. The banks control everything. Who controls the banks? Insurance companies. In Africa, it's the other way around. Totally the other way around. Telcos are doing what they're doing, not controlled by the banks. Banks control what they do. And that's only possible, again, in a market where saturation has not happened. So again, yes, I know there are issues with doing business in Africa. There's inconsistency in our laws, inconsistencies in our government, but every disappointment or every negative aspect of our economy has a huge advantage to it. Number 3 is the rapid growing middle class. Every single year, millions and millions of Africans are jumping into the middle class. Yes, exchange rate is going high, I understand that. But look at yourself and compare yourself to yourself 5 years ago. The average propensity to earn has increased. There are new jobs that never, when I was growing up, there was nothing called product owner, product manager. All those roles didn't exist, QA engineer, none of those things existed. So there are new parallel markets that are opening up as younger people are growing up now. So automatically, people are being moved into the middle class. And that presents a whole new set of opportunities. More consumption of internet, more consumption of smartphone, new industries, like I said. So growth in itself, as a major factor in emerging markets, is a huge competitive advantage. Now, those are aspects that a lot of us don't see. We only focus on the problems and the challenges of doing business in Africa. But we don't see that Africa has the youngest population in the whole world. Average age of the workforce is about 19, 20 now. Look at how GT Bank conquered the banking sector. When we're all in secondary schools or university, they opened bank accounts for us. Now, that's the only bank account most of us use. Now, imagine what's going to happen in the next 15 to 20 years when those 19-year-olds will be roughly 30, 35. The consumption power across Africa is probably going to be times 20 at minimum. And then lastly, underdeveloped markets. The underdeveloped markets present huge new opportunities. Opportunities that can directly be correlated to opportunities that were in China like 20, 30 years ago, or India 20, 30 years ago. So I say this to summarize that, yes, we have challenges of doing business across multiple markets in Africa, but the key thing the challenges present to us is, number 1, speed without bureaucracy. Speed without bureaucracy, right? We can achieve great speed in anything we want to do without having to be pulled back by any legacy system. Number 2 is that we have talent that is forged under pressure. Have you seen Nigerians that move to Canada? They are all doing 4 jobs, 3 jobs. They are banging it and killing it way better than those that were born there. So we have a talent that has been exposed to some form of rigor, and that's a huge advantage. Number 3, we have markets that don't have a headroom. It's only in Nigeria that a startup like MoneyPoint can wake up in like 4 or 5 years, become a unicorn. There's like another one that started 3 years ago called Move. It's like already a unicorn. It's only in Africa that a startup like ours, Korape. Oh, well, by the way, I didn't talk much about, I'm not here in the capacity of Korape. I'm happy to be the CEO of Korape. We do payment processing. We allow global businesses to go local and local businesses to go global. We provide them APIs to accept payments, make payouts, and to transfer money. We do this in 12 countries. And we are currently, say, roughly about 200 to 220 people now in the organization. Again, but that's not why I'm here to speak. I'm very passionate about Africa. And I'm an I tend to see myself as an Afri-capitalist, and with a personal vision to raise a new generation of leaders that will transform the face of the continent. And that's why we're having this conversation on what entrepreneurs need to understand about the challenges that Africa presents. It presents an equal and opposite opportunity. Africa presents challenges. You would know the third law of Newton, right? Every action requires an equal and opposite reaction. So Africa presents challenges, but there's an equal and opposite opportunity. Now, I've touched on the challenge, on the advantages or the edge of building businesses in Africa. But at the end of the day, you might understand the opportunities, but you must understand the principles around those opportunities. Right? So wisdom is not just knowing what to do, but it's knowing the time and how to do what to do. Right? So today I'll be discussing in more details 5 key principles that I see that a lot of startups, not just startups, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are trying to build business in this market oftentimes miss. Now, I know you've heard a lot of aspire to perspire speech. Everything I speak about is my personal experience in building multiple organizations. And by the way, I failed 3 times since 2008. And I think I just only cracked it in like 3 or 4 years ago. In Africa, in Nigeria, let's just in Nigeria, that had a population of about 100 and something million. The fintech ratio is like 1 to 100,000. So we need more. We need more tech companies, more startups. Technology is a huge leveler, especially with the entrance of AI and what artificial intelligence can help us do. I thought of an idea on Monday. I built it out on Tuesday. We went live on Thursday. Today is Friday. That's the new world we're in with artificial intelligence. So it becomes a leveler for us to do more. And so I'll end by saying that we will scale in Africa by not copying the playbook, but by rewriting the playbook. Thank you.